Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Emergency Medical Technician Training Academy program overview in partnership with Kellogg Community College and Battle Creek Public Schools. My name is Clark Imus, and I serve as the EMS program coordinator and professor of emergency medical services here at KCC. I'd like to introduce Alethea Likas, our primary EMS instructor for Battle Creek Central.
Hi, my name is Alethea Likas. I am the instructor for KCC at the Battle Creek Central High School. I'd like to tell you a little bit about myself. I've been a paramedic for the past 25 years. I've worked in Battle Creek in a rural and urban setting. I come to the high school 3 days a week. So Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays we have class. Mondays are typically lecture days. Wednesdays are more of a simulation day. So we practice things that we learned on Wednesday. And then Thursdays end up being like a hands-on skills day so that the students get to put their hands on the equipment and get to practice some of the skills that they've learned throughout the week. Excuse me. Parents are able to contact us at any time if they have questions about how the student's doing in class, or if they just have questions about where their student is and how they're doing. So they can contact us at any time. My email address is Likas, L-Y-C-O-S-A @kellogg.edu. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact us. And Clark, do you have anything else?
No, thank you for your introduction, Alethea. We'll jump back to you for some more information here later on as we continue. But I'd like to give Dina Waterman, Ms. Waterman, opportunity to speak as the 21st Health Century and Health Occupations instructor from Central. Go ahead, Dina.
Hello, I teach, as Clark said, health occupations and 21st century health at Battle Creek Central High School. And in our healthcare simulation lab is where the EMT and the CNA programs will be hosted. So our students do their lecture, their practice during that, and then they will go out into the community to do their clinical work. I work closely with EMT professors, and because the students are able to take this program at the high school, they have access to all of the high school supports that are there and able to get help with tutoring for academic support and anything else that they may need while they're at the high school.
Great, thank you, Dina. I'd like to take a moment just to go over some of the attributes and offerings that our EMT program has for students and information for parents as well as we kind of progress through. I want to tell you first a little bit about KCC's EMS program. KCC's EMS program has been around since the 1980s. We were part of the initial establishment of the Local Medical Control Authority, which outlines the requirements for agencies to respond to 911 areas within the city of Battle Creek and throughout Calhoun County. We are both state and nationally accredited through the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services, EMS and Trauma Bureau, along with the Committee on Accreditation for the EMS Profession, which is our national EMS accreditation. KCC holds a number of privileges to be able to train individuals in a multitude of certification trainings. These include the American Heart Association, for us to be able to offer training in basic first aid and CPR, healthcare provider CPR, and advanced provider courses, including advanced life support and pediatric advanced life support. Additionally, we are a training center for the National Association of EMTs, which allows for us to be able to certify students and provide them with an industry credential in pre-hospital trauma life support and many other areas that we have to be able to certify folks throughout the program. One of the things that really set KCC's program, especially at Battle Creek Central, apart from other EMS training programs in the area, is our commitment to the state-of-the-art learning facilities. These include a multi-million-dollar simulation lab that students will have access to daily when they're in class at Central, utilizing an ambulance simulator, multiple hospital simulators, and high-fidelity medical patients, including mannequins that can turn blue and have seizures and take blood pressures and lung sounds and heart sounds, and you name it, a real person, something a real person can do, these mannequins can reproduce for us. And we'll talk about that more as we continue as well. As Ms. Likas said, we really have an awesome staff here in EMS and a great partnership with Central to make sure that the students get the support they need. In EMS, we deal with people's people's worst day is our everyday. So we see a lot of things that can go wrong, and we have a lot of components where, we see everything from birth all the way through death. So our faculty and staff really help support students both not only with their learning in their classroom, but the emotional support that goes along with dealing with a high stress, high acuity environment. The last thing I want to mention about our program is our program motto, and that's saving lives through education. There's nothing more powerful than the education that you'll receive, especially when you're dealing with healthcare. No one can ever take that knowledge away from you, and boy, is it something that can empower you. You may not want to go on to be an EMT or to work in medicine, but I would bet at some point in time in your life, you'll come across a car accident or a family member will have a medical emergency, and you'll need to have some skills to be able to help and provide support to those students. This program will allow for you to have that skill set, regardless if you choose to certify or become a licensed EMT. You'll have a skill set that will work really well for you. I'd like to show you a short video. Let's stop here for a second. I'd like to show you just a short video of what it's like in our EMS programs. We always ask our students at the beginning of every program, do you have what it takes to be able to save a life? Kind of reflect on that as we watch this short video. So as you can see from that, EMS is a team sport. It requires a lot of individuals to be able to provide a lot of life-saving interventions in a relatively short period of time. There are a lot of things that KCC has to offer. I'd like to have Ms. Likas talk to you shortly about the attributes and I shouldn't say attributes, but the skills that students are going to be trained on and the hands-on learning that happens daily in the classroom, along with the online learning, to be able to explain a little bit more about that. And then we'll hear some testimonials from our current students. Ms. Likas?
Thanks, Clark. So during class, for instance, when we have lecture, we will pull out equipment and talk about it, and the students actually get, excuse me, a chance to put their hands on the equipment and test it out before they actually use it in simulations. We also have available the ambulance in the classroom, excuse me. So when we're talking initially about how we lift patients out of their home or how we carry them out of their home, how we take them down steps, we actually can put patients on the cot, load them into the ambulance. At Battle Creek Central, there is a nice, very large stairway next to the classroom. We put students in a stair chair, which is a device we use to take people downstairs. And we had the students take each other down the steps. And I think we have a couple pictures later in the slideshow of that. So that was nice. The students actually get to put their hands on the equipment that we use on a daily basis on the ambulance. And they practice these skills before they go out and do their 36-hour clinical rotations. So not only do they have the equipment like the stair chair and the cot, they also have an ambulance that they can get in. We can record the simulations that the students do. And then after the simulation is completed, we can go back and play it back for the students so that they can see how they did during the simulation. And then they can tell us how they think they did during it. And then we talk about things they did well on and things that they can improve on during their simulations. In these simulated cases, the students actually get to prepare themselves for going out into the real world and taking care of real patients, but in a simulated atmosphere, so that they can actually, if they harm the patient, we can talk about that so that it doesn't happen in a real life situation. There's also splinting that we do with the students. So we teach them how to take care of broken bones. We teach them how to control bleeding. So with tourniquets and direct pressure and bandaging skills. The students get to use some of the mannequins. So the classroom has multiple mannequins in it, not only high fidelity mannequins, but they have low fidelity mannequins also. So we have a multitude of things that we can use to teach the students how to take care of these patients in a simulated atmosphere. Now, not only do we do hands-on training, we do have some homework that the students are required to do. The homework is all online, and the book is actually online also. So if the students don't like to actually read the book, the book that we use, it being online, it can actually read the book to the students. The students can search and look up any part of the book that they want in a matter of seconds and get the answers that they need. So if they have a question about seizures, they can type in seizures in the search box. It pulls up everything in the book, whether it's a video, pictures, or some actual written material. The student can pick what they want to look at in that book, open it up, get the answers that they need very quickly. It's a lot quicker and more efficient doing it that way than them having to search through a large book, because the book is very thick. So this way it helps the students get through the material a lot faster. One of the other nice things about it is the students have required reading that they're supposed to do, and then they take a pre-test at the beginning of the week. Now, when they take this pre-test, their homework is based off of how well they do on the pretest. So if they're doing really well in class and they do a great job on the pretest, they may only have a couple questions that they need to do for their homework for the rest of the week. So, but it is in reverse also. If they don't do well on the pretest, then they're going to have a little bit more homework. But that just helps them get better at what they're doing by giving them a little bit more homework in the areas that they're weak in. And then if they're doing really well, they don't have as much. But they can still go back and look at all of those questions that they would have had to do had they not done so well on the test. So everything, all the homework is online. We do a lot of hands-on in class, a tiny bit of lecture, but mostly hands-on. And Mrs. Waterman is in the class also. Sometimes her students will join us in the class. We can use them as students, or I'm sorry, as patients, if we want live patients in the classroom. Do you,
Great.
anything else, Clark?
No, I think that's a perfect segue. One of the big areas that we look at with students is we as the faculty and staff for the program, of course, we're going to say we love the program because that's what we do for a living. But I would like to take a moment to just play a short video for you of our current high school students and why they chose to do the EMT training while in high school.
I chose BCCHS because they make learning enjoyable and fun.
2 years ago, I had to experience my father having a seizure and I had no clue what to do. I don't ever want to be in the situation where I have no clue what to do and how to save someone's life. And that's one of the many reasons I decided to be a part of the EMT program.
I chose the KCC EMT class because of the college credits, the license and job right after high school, and it'll look good on job applications as well as college applications.
I joined the EMT program because I wanted to get early experience with patient care before getting into med school.
I joined the KCC EMS program just because I wanted to experience a college level medical course. The learning environment that's presented and given to you and the resources at the college are just amazing. The instructors there are always there to help you. They always make me feel like they have a value on my learning rather than me just putting points on a tally for a grade letter. Also, the college itself gave me the opportunity to secure my position in the workforce right out of high school. And as someone who's very scared for what they're gonna do when school is over, that was just a big comfort to me, and that's what helped me learn even more and actually put my effort in and enjoy the class.
I joined the KCC's EMT program while still in high school so I could get a head start in my desired career. I also will receive 16 to 18 college credits while still in high school.
So that provides a really awesome overview from the student's perspective. I think that's one of the things that we can't recreate without them having an effort to say what the benefit of it is. When I was in high school, I was able to complete my EMT training and was able to become a licensed EMT during my senior year. I did my training again through a vocational tech center, but I was able to make an impact in my community right out of high school, and then was able to move on to college and to do paramedic and to do more advanced components as I continued off my training. I'd like to talk about what the training offers to EMS students. You've heard from them, but let's talk about what the details are for the program. For Battle Creek Central's program, students will have the capability of earning 16 college credits for free. That's a huge amount of college credits over their junior or senior year. This is going to lead to certification as a basic EMT with the college. They earn a college certificate in addition to earning their high school credits while they're dual enrolled. Additionally, students are going to be certified in industry credentials, including basic life support CPR and pre-hospital trauma life support, along with other credentials like, for example, Stop the Bleed. Additionally, students are going to be able to participate in actual ambulance runs, 911 runs, while working on the ambulance. Students have the opportunity to do 36 hours or more of time actually working on an ambulance, responding and assisting in their communities, getting that true real-life hands-on experience. As students complete the aspects of the program, the proper requirements for the class, for the Battle Creek Central High School requirements, and then for the college, students will then be eligible to take their national certification exam to become an emergency medical technician. That certification is a nationwide certification and gives students the ability to travel throughout the country and have some mobility as they move forward in their futures. Additionally, students can go ahead and after completing or earning that certification, they'll be eligible for Michigan Department of Health and Human Services licensure as an emergency medical technician. That licensure is what allows students to actually gain a job working on the ambulance. We got to talk about money because that's one of the things that students are always going to have questions about is how much money does this make in my career? The U.S. Bureau of Labor and Statistics project that EMT and paramedic job growth will increase by 11%. I feel like that's an understatement for the need of EMS providers and EMS workers in the community, but they're looking about an 11% growth between 2020 and 2030. Additionally, you're looking at an average wage, yearly wage starting out for an EMT about $36,000 a year, or about $17 to $18 an hour. Most agencies that are hiring are offering hiring bonuses anywhere between $1,000 to $5,000 for EMTs. And additionally, they will help provide funding for your future training to become a paramedic. Most agencies will offer up to $10,000 to $12,000 for you to be able to receive your paramedic training and continue on with that advanced licensure. There's a lot of opportunities for employment. These include obviously working on an ambulance. You can work in an emergency room as a technician. You can work on a hospital floor or even at a nursing home as a technician, working in home health care, dialysis centers or plasma centers, fire departments, police departments, and then security offices as well. A lot of folks will find that EMT really serves as a stepping stone either into paramedic, which is the highest license level, highest level of care provided in the pre-hospital setting. This is what would equate to a nurse. Or they'll move on to do their EMS associate degree, or even things like moving on to med school. One of the students talked about in their testimony that they needed patient contact hours to be able to go and get into med school. And taking this course will get you a minimum of 36 hours of patient contact time, along with that licensure, which will put you at the top end of that list of getting into med school or PA school, those different components. And we have a great partner.
Real quick.
Yes, please.
So one other thing I wanted to add was that not only are companies from all over this area paying that $17 to $18 an hour, they're also, most of them are offering incentive bonuses just to come into work. So some companies are offering $150 to $200 just to walk in the door and work an 8 to 12 hour shift every day. So they have incentive bonuses out there for a lot of different companies.
That just goes to show, that's a great point, Ms. Likis, just goes to show how much of a need there is for EMS providers. And this is not only here locally in Battle Creek or Calhoun County, but throughout the United States. There's a very significant shortage. One of the things that's really awesome about our program is that we've got great partnerships with our area employers. As Ms. Waterman had mentioned, students are going to have that capability to go out and to, in essence, do a job interview while doing a clinical. And if students are well received and well liked, they may walk out with an application or a job offer in hand, pending their completion of the course. These agencies that we partner with include Albion Community Ambulance, Marshall Area Firefighters Ambulance Authority, and then Life Care Ambulance Services, who's a partner of Emergent Health. All those are really great ways for students to continue to move ahead. Now, there are some important facts. There's about 15 big important facts that parents and students need to be aware of as they enter into this program. The first is that the program is open to both juniors and seniors. So if you're not able to take it this year as a junior, you potentially could take it next year as a senior, depending on your pathway. And then you're obviously discussing your options with your school counselor. Additionally, there are some reading requirements, some components for our next gen AccuPlacer scores of a minimum of 240, or a PSAT of 22 to 24 will be an acceptable score to get you in for reading. It's also important to point out that there's a difference between certification and licensure. To be a licensed first responder in the state of Michigan, currently you must be 18 years of age. There is some legislation in the works that may reduce that down to 17, where you could work on an ambulance, but that's not yet said law. So you do have to wait till you're 18 in order to be able to work on an ambulance. However, to earn that credential, to earn that national certification, you can do that at any age. Additionally, students have to make sure that they complete all aspects of the program to be eligible for program certification. So that includes completing the different classes, maintaining an appropriate GPA, completing your rotations for clinical and skills that are required for lab. If those are all completed appropriately with the proper grades, students will be awarded their high school credit. They'll be awarded the college certificate. They'll be awarded the ability to take that national certification exam and then be eligible for licensure. We have to point out that if a student fails to meet those requirements, there's always a possibility that they could potentially fail their high school component. So it's very important that we have a good support system, both in the school and out of the school, to make sure that they're going to be successful throughout their journey. The next big hot topic is immunizations. We do require immunizations for students to participate in the clinical setting, and that's predominantly for their safety, because we don't know what type of communicable diseases they'll be exposed to when someone calls 911. These immunizations include things like the hepatitis B, your MMR, your Tdap, varicella, your flu shot, TB test. There's a number of components that are there, and I will show you guys where you can find those resources online throughout our handbook. As of right now, we do not require the COVID vaccine for EMS clinicals. So riding on an ambulance does not require you to have a COVID-19 vaccine, but that is subject to change at any point in time based on the requirements of our clinical partners. These immunizations need to be completed prior to students starting their clinical rotations. We'd like to see those done and in by the beginning of a spring semester, since this program runs both over the fall and spring semesters. Students are also required, in order to complete a successful background check and drug screen, meaning that they come back negative for marijuana, methamphetamines. It's your typical 10-panel drug screen, along with a clear criminal background check. This again is a requirement of our clinical partners and an industry standard to make sure that you're ready to enter into the field. For clinical rotations, transportation is not provided by KCC nor by Battle Creek Central. So students will need to either provide transportation themselves, or parents or guardians will need to help facilitate them getting to and from those clinical sites. Students are required to only complete 3 12-hour shifts. If they would like to complete more, that's great, but minimum of 3 is what you're looking at. Those will fall outside of the normal classroom period. So that'll happen on the weekends or nights, days. There's a lot of opportunities and availabilities for students to participate at clinical during a time that works best for them. Students also are required to have a government ID or a driver's license by the time that they complete the spring semester. The reason why this is important is because in order to take that national certification exam, the National Registry of Emergency Medical Technicians require you to have a government or state issued ID in order to verify you are who you are when you go to take your test. We put this in the presentation because we've had students that we've provided transportation to get up to take the test. They got up there and they had 2 forms of ID, but one of them was not a state issued or government ID. And we had to actually turn around and come back and hold off on getting that student to test. And we want these students to take that national certification exam as soon as possible while the knowledge is fresh in their minds. We do require students to wear a uniform. We say practice like you'll perform. And if you practice well, you'll perform well. But you have to look like the part you're playing. So we provide students with the clinical polo, along with the classroom t-shirt that they can wear both for their clinical rotations and then again also for in class as well. Since we are doing a number of online components that Ms. Likas spoke about, students are going to have access to Chromebooks that they'll be able to take home and utilize to do that online coursework, and those are offered graciously through Battle Creek Central. Finally, we have to talk a little bit about FERPA, and Angie Bess, our manager for dual enrollment in early college, will talk about this here in a second as well too, but all dual enrolled students at KCC sign a disclosure that allow for us to share information directly with the school and with parents. We really like the fact of being able to provide you with a summary report of where the students are at, or to be able to have that point of contact to ensure that the support the students need both in the classroom and out of the classroom are there. And that does require a good amount of dialogue between the instructional staff, the student and their family. It takes the right person to be an EMT. Not everybody's cut out for this. It's a great fun thing to do, but we have to make sure there's some professional attributes that are possessed by students before they come in. We'll polish these and we'll get them to that professional standard, but we definitely have to make sure that they're going to have the required baseline. These include things like integrity, self-motivation, self-confidence, time management is a huge portion of this, respect, careful delivery of services, empathy, appearance and personal hygiene that's in line with the industry standards, communication, teamwork, and diplomacy, and above all things, being a patient advocate, always putting our patients' needs above others. So the class overview is going to look similar to what you see here on your screen. The students are going to start out in the fall semester taking our EMT Academy 1. This is a 6-credit class, and it again is a lecture laboratory component. In the spring semester, there's a lot of components that are mixed online and things that are embedded throughout the program. But that includes EMT Academy 2, which is a 7-credit lecture and lab class. EMT 142, our Academy Simulation, which is 1 credit. Our EMT Academy Clinical, which is 0.5 credits. And then our pre-hospital trauma life support certification that's needed for employment is 1.5 credits, totaling 16 college credits that students can earn. And as Ms. Likas said, we do a lot with hands-on training. We want to keep you out of your seats and engaged in the classroom so you're actually able to not only learn the material, but provide those skills. Remember, it's not about necessarily just getting that credential. It's about having and learning the skills that you can use later on in case of an emergency that may have happened. There's some program information that's available to you, and I would encourage you to check out our website, kellogg.edu/EMS. One of the things that are really nice is that there's a link on the side of the webpage on the left-hand side that says EMS student resources. That's going to include things like our handbook, additional breakdown of objectives, ways to be able to get a hold of us, a litany of resources, all that are there. Now, this is available to anyone since it's a public website, but it's also embedded in all of our online courses as well. So students will be able to have access to that and or their parents. Again, I would say check us out on Facebook or Instagram. That's a great way to be able to get a good inside view of what it looks like throughout the program. At this point, I'd like to turn it over to Angie to talk about the process and paperwork that's required for dual enrollment.
Thanks, Clark. I appreciate that. I was just going to say you covered everything, so we're good to go there. As Clark mentioned, my name is Angie Bess. I'm the manager of dual enrollment in early college at Kellogg Community College. So what we need to, or what I want to make sure that parents and students know is currently we have already come in. Most of the students have already done an application to KCC to make sure that they qualify to be able to take the course. We have done 1 round of the AccuPlacer testing for those that needed it and didn't meet the score requirements based on their PSAT scores or SAT scores. So we have a couple of dates scheduled at the end of the month where Ms. Waterman has already given some students some practice materials and whatnot for AccuPlacer that will be coming back to Battle Creek Central to try to test more students that either need to retest or haven't tested to see if they qualify to be able to take the course. So once we know exactly who meets those score requirements, we will proceed with the enrollment process. The nice thing is we have the ability, because this is offered at the high school, that if we for some reason can't get a student registered before they are done in June, we can handle it in the fall. But our goal is to have everybody have this course on their schedule for next year, their high school schedule, and registered and ready to go come August when students come back. So we will have a little bit of grace time in between in the fall, between when Battle Creek Central goes back to school and when KCC starts. We should have a week or so to wrap up any of those final, any students that need, final things done. We need to get books, we need to get access to whatever. So Ms. Lykos and I will be hands-on with this, and also our student success coach, Tamika Reese, from KCC, will also be in the classroom helping. We'll make sure that they get everything that they need done. Between us and Ms. Hollins at the high school, we do a pretty good job of making sure that everything gets wrapped up. So as far as what parents need to do to help their students get enrolled, is just make sure that you're aware that they are enrolling in this course. As Clark mentioned, there is FERPA guidelines, which prohibits the college from actually talking directly with anybody but the student regarding their academic record. But we do have our dual enrolled students sign off on that when they apply. So that allows us to at least communicate with the schools on progress. And then if there's any major pressing issues that need to be addressed, we typically dial in the high school, which then can dial in the parents, and we can have a bigger conversation then. So I think that's it. Ms. Lykos, do you have anything else that I missed that we normally do?
So I think that about covers everything, Angie.
Awesome.
If
So the last, go ahead, Alethea.
If parents ever have any questions about the program, I want them to feel free to call Clark or myself or Angie if they have any other questions. And we're happy to sit down and talk with them if they want to do that.
I think that's the most important thing, is that we want to maintain that open line of communication, because this is not your typical college or typical high school class. This is a rather rigorous program that does require a good amount of dedication and time, but because of the nature of the work and the things that may be seen on clinical, that emotional support at home and in the high school dual enrolled experience at college, we've got to make sure that we're conscious of that, because students may see things that are really harsh and life and death. And that's part of the nature of the industry, but we want to recognize that it's okay that if they need to reach out for help. So if they feel like something just may be up and they're not even sure, calling us to be able to start that dialogue or get some resources to that student are always something that's important. Carrie or Angie, do you want to talk about what would happen if a student is unsuccessful in completing the program? For example, if they were to receive a failing grade, what would happen in regards to that? And I talked about the dual enrollment and it may affect their high school, but is there any other?
So I can talk about from the KCC perspective what that does. So the way that this works is Battle Creek Central will be paying KCC for the student to enroll in this course or these courses. If a student has what we would consider an unsuccessful attempt, which is the result of withdrawing from the course, or receiving an F on their transcript for the course, then the student is responsible. So what the high school done, the high school has the right to say, yes, we're going to charge the student, or no, we're not. So there could be implications. And I think, Dina or Carrie, if you guys could speak to what those implications are at the high school, and then maybe what that looks like as far as like their high school credits and graduation requirements and whatnot, because that varies depending on the district.
Yep, and that also varies on a case-by-case basis depending upon the situation. I mean, obviously, if there are some extenuating circumstances, there are conversations that happen. When students do sign up for dual enrollment, they will, this isn't just something they go to KCC and, you guys are amazing with supporting them and signing up. However, they do have extensive conversations with their counselor. In this case, it'd be Ms. Hollins, and she makes sure that they're aware of the policies and procedures around these different pieces, and makes sure that everybody is up to date at the beginning with the agreement, so they have a clear understanding of what what they're signing up for and what they're going into. It's incredibly rewarding work, and but just as Mr. Imus said, it's hard work. And so our students are thriving in this program, who jump in and they're dedicated. And sometimes students need a little support to move it through. But the goal here is just to make sure that everybody is well educated up front as to what the experience is going to be like, so they can make the best decision for them moving forward.
Great. The last thing that I wanted to mention is just the ways of who's in our department, who's in the wheelhouse for EMS that you can reach out to, either by phone or email. That includes myself as the program coordinator. Jay Radabow is our clinical coordinator, so he will coordinate student placement at the clinical sites and ensuring that they're getting the proper safety training before they go in there, including N95 fit testing for airborne illnesses and bloodborne pathogens training, so that they're safe in that environment before they step in. We have Miss Alethea Likas, which is going to be your primary instructor, so you'll see Alethea routinely. Alethea has a strong team of individuals that work with her on campus, which include a number of adjunct instructors, along with our EMS success coach, which will help meet with students to make sure that day-to-day activities and being on top of their homework, that there's someone that's dedicated solely to being an aid for them to be successful for that. We also have Larry Wagner, who's one of our professors. He teaches our critical care transport program and our community integrated paramedic, but he oftentimes is over at Central as well, helping out with labs. And then our department assistant, Jamie Roberts, and our director of public safety education, Robert Miller, are all great resources for you to be able to reach out to. So again, like I said earlier, check us out on social media. You're more than welcome to come up and talk to us here at the institution, or get a tour of the facility for Central, so you can see what the classroom looks like. We're happy to meet with you and do those things as necessary. But I think that kind of wraps up the overview with where we're at for today with our time. Does anybody else have anything else they want to add before we close this out?
I do not. Thank you, Clark and Alethea and Dina and Carrie, for helping us and being here to help answer questions. And so again, as Clark mentioned, our contact information is on here. You guys can feel free to contact the college, and we will help in any way we can to get questions answered.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Have a great day.